Sivenathi Nontshinga versus Adrian Curiel. 12 rounds for Nontshinga's IBF Junior flyweight title. Let's get into it. Let's start with the champ, Nontshinga. Love that last name, man. 12 wins, no losses, 9 wins by way of knockout. I heard about Nontshinga back in 2018, 19, I believe it was, when he fought Adam Yahaya, and he caught him with a body shot that stopped him in his tracks. And I said, man, this young cat has something here. He has something here. Let's see how he continues to develop and he continues to grow. But one thing was for certain was that right hand of Nontshinga, man, that has a shot in the power, if connected, to close out the show at any given moment. He would go on to win his next 2 fights before facing a tough fight in Christian Araneta. Araneta's, man, pressure was strong that night, the more experienced fighter. He had Nontshinga fighting on the back foot, right? And he had to adjust his game plan. We haven't really seen Nontshinga fight on the back foot too many times leading up to that fight. And you could see he was getting sucked into fighting Araneta's fight, but he had to, sit with himself and get back to his game plan, get back to his style, right? He had to get back to boxing, making sure he was putting that jab out, fighting on the outside, getting in range when needed, but never really engaging too much where he could be getting himself in trouble and getting sucked into the fight. And I thought he fought a consistent fight throughout the fight, right? He found his groove and he ended up winning that fight, but he did get knocked down in that 12th round. And Araneta caught him with a shot as Nontshinga was moving on his back foot. Boom, came with that left hand and caught him at the right spot at the right time and dropped him. It was a close fight, and because of that knockdown, a lot of people thought it was a lot more controversial. Even the scorecards I thought were pretty fair. They weren't crazy far off. It was one guy by 1 or 2 rounds. So people talk about robbery in that fight. I didn't see that. I didn't see a robbery that fight. I thought it was a clear win for Nontshinga, in my opinion. But he was tested. He had to weather a little bit of that storm. After that, he fought another close fight in a fight of the year candidate, in my opinion, man, when he fought Hector Flores. And as soon as that fight started, Nontshinga the power was showing. He dropped him with the right hand and Flores hit the canvas. But Flores came back, dusted his shoulders off like a Jay-Z song, right? And just came out swing. I mean, this fight was ridiculous. Like the volume, man, I didn't know. I was not sure if Flores could keep up that same volume and that same intensity because I didn't look at the stats prior to this, but I just remember, man, he was throwing a whole bunch of shots from in close, wasn't allowing Nontshinga to get any type of comfortable. Nontshinga needs a little bit of separation to be able to let that right hand go so he can generate that power, but he was not having any of that. So he had to adjust the game plan again. He had to figure out, man, how do I still land these shots? How do I still land my power? Even if I'm not able to really land the power like how I would want, I'm going to have an inside game here. I'm going to have to use my strength and find a ways. And I thought it was a very good back and forth fight. There are some fights where someone is skilled, you know what they can do. But sometimes, man, you got to go into a fight where you got to let your heart and your will show. And that was a fight where both men is good in their own skill set, right? But that was a fight where you just had to dig. You had to get in where you could fit in. You had to, whenever there was an opening, you had to make it count. You had to will yourself and be determined enough not to let your mind fold. You had to just buckle down. And this is what both of these men did a very good job of. But I did think Nontshinga landed the more eye-catching shots. I thought he came on strong in the 10th and the 11th round. But he did get rocked in that 11th round, right? A shot from Flores backed him up, but he didn't panic. He just moved out of the way, created separation, and went back and retreated a little bit to recover himself before he came back and finished the 12th round very strongly, man. It was a very, very good test of the character of Nontshinga in that fight because he was a bigger puncher than Flores, but there was a determination about Flores that he needed to outwill and outlast a lot of people would not have been able to outlast Flores that night. But for Nontshinga, he was able to, and he came away with the win. Great fight, underrated fight of the year when that one took place. In his most recent fight, he fought Reggie Sugarnob, and I thought he looked very good, man. Sugarnob is an athletic fighter who's explosive, similar to Nontshinga in some forms, and he gave Nontshinga a good fight, but Nontshinga was just sharper, and he packs a bigger punch. And defensively, man, he was on one that night. I thought he was doing a great job of moving his head off the line, ducking and weaving where he needed to, pulling back when he needed to, countering when he needed to, getting off the ropes when Sugarnob was applying the pressure and trying to keep him there, and did a great job of being one step ahead of Sugarnob in that fight. And Nontshinga dropped him, right, with a beautiful check right counter hook, man. I thought it was a very, very good fight against an explosive Sugarnob, who is a dangerous fighter. And I think, I think he will go on to have a very good career moving forward, because he does have a lot of potential. And Nontshinga, man, I thought he looked very, very, very good in his last fight. So he's been improving to me over the years, man, especially from a defensive standpoint. From what I saw from the last fight, he's going to definitely need to be a better defensive fighter if he wants to challenge these champions moving forward, but he cannot overlook Curiel. This is going to be a great opportunity for him as well to be in the spotlight. So I'm sure he'll be looking to be making a statement. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does, man. But let's talk about his opponent, Adrian Curiel. 23 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 4 wins by way of knockout. This is his first fight away from Mexico. He's on a 7-fight win streak, right? He hasn't fought a whole lot at this weight limit in the recent years. His last fight was at 108, yes, but before that, he's been at 112 for the recent, 4, 5, 6 years, I believe it was. So, I mean, Curiel is a pretty good technical fighter. He doesn't have the power in his corner, in his shots, but he's got good skills and good fundamentals, right? And he can move a little bit. He's consistent all the way throughout the rounds of this fight. He's a switch hitter. Like, he can switch to southpaw and not miss a beat as well. In his last fight, he fought Eduardo Ramirez, and stylistically, honestly, both of those guys look the same, right? Even their mannerisms just mirrored each other. And it took a while for both men to kind of get going. I thought Hernandez was busier earlier, right? Landing the cleaner shots earlier, but in the third round, man, you could see Curiel started to switch a little bit and started to become more aggressive, and he was trying to land those big shots. Sometimes when it connected, it was great. Other times when it didn't connect, it missed very wide and susceptible to being countered like that type of wide, right? But when he was pushing the pace, man, he was having some success. I think that's his best bet to win this fight, right? He doesn't have the athleticism, doesn't really have the skill to really outbox or outclass Nontshinga, but he can make it tough. He can make it grueling if he can close the gap and do some of what Flores did, right? Just start swinging and hitting whatever it is that you can find and chopping Nontshinga down, because he's going to come in as the bigger man. Can he use that size and wear down Nontshinga? Can he push the pace from round 1 to 12, right? Can he make it an uncomfortable fight? I just think he's got to definitely be the more physical guy in this fight. But the fights that I've seen of Curiel, man, I don't think he has enough in this tool set and skill set to be able to beat Nontshinga. So who wins, man? I think if he comes in not using his jab and trying to just walk through Nontshinga's shots like he did in his last fight, he's going to get dropped, man. He's going to get clipped up. He's going to get pieced up. You don't want to take too many shots of Nontshinga's shot, especially, he's got that power in that right hand, right? But if he can use his physicality and can disrupt some of the movements of Nontshinga, he'll have his way and have some success doing that. But as I said, I don't think he has enough in his skill set to beat Nontshinga. Curiel is tough. He's durable, hasn't been stopped before. So depending on the level of aggression and pace that Nontshinga decides, if he's going to let his hands go a lot quicker, that could determine if it is a stoppage, which he'll probably be looking for and trying to do. But I think this goes the distance, and I think he wins a clear decision victory. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you would like support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. I hope that you also consider maybe becoming a member in another form to support the channel as well. We got 2 different tiers, and you can find the options in the description below. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, man. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.